Carolina.
Madam Speaker,
For what purpose does the gentleman rise?
I ask unanimous consent to claim the unexpired time of the gentleman from North Carolina.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I appreciate my opportunity of following my good friend from Florida in his wonderful address to the House. I would talk about one particular issue. There was a newspaper article that came out today that said that President Obama is scheduled to send 1,200 troops to the Arizona-Mexico border. If indeed that report is accurate, I commend him for that type of activity, because his goal is to try and stop three of the most heinous organizations that are entering this country through public lands on the southern border. Illegal drug traffickers, illegal human traffickers, and all the violence, especially against women, that they present, and the potential of terrorists coming to those areas. The escalating violence on our southern border is of unprecedented proportion. Unfortunately, the success of stabilizing that border is not in the number of bodies that we send down there, but the ability of those bodies to have full access to the border regions. Unfortunately, the land manager policies that we have on our southern borders allow criminal element unfettered access, but prohibit the Border Patrol from going into those exact same areas. The borders, the traffic barriers that are put up in this picture on federal lands in the south are not border barricades to stop illegals coming in from Mexico, drug cartels, human traffickers. They're to stop the Border Patrol from going into federal lands on our southern border. And the end result of this activity, of all these the drug traffickers, the human traffickers coming in, is the massive amount of environmental damage that is done. If I could give a quote from a 2007 article in the Tucson Weekly dealing with Ironwood National Monument, talking about these smugglers that are coming in their vehicles, mostly stolen from Phoenix, often travel at night without headlights, with tape over the brake lights. They've been clocked tearing through the monument's dirt roads at 89 miles an hour, endangering the lives of residents and visitors alike. It also ensures that many of these load vehicles never make it out of the monument, for they smash into trees, run into ditches. The BLM has towed 300 vehicles a year out of this one monument since the year 2000. These loaded vehicles, as well as the constant foot traffic, destroy habitat, threaten cultural sites, and endangered species. The trash that is left behind, this is from Ironwood, requires pickup crews to have biohazard training and armed guards watching them as they do the work. Recently, they've even attacked the cacti in the area, simply cutting it down, leaving it there across roads to create a barrier so they can stop park visitors and there either rob them or steal their autos at the same time. This also destroys the natural environment that happens to be there. This is not just taking place in the south, I want to emphasize, though. It is also taking place in the north. Although 40% of the land on our southern border between California and El Paso is owned by the federal government, we have the same situation on our northern borders. With over 1,000 miles of land, 13 states that intersect, 12 national parks, 4 Indian reservations, and the exact same problem exists on our northern border. In a letter to House Republicans, Homeland Secretary Napolitano talked about Border Patrol issues in the Spokane sector up in Washington. She wrote, "The sector is currently working with Interior and Forest Service regarding Endangered Species Act issues related to grizzly bears and road use. Government biologists claim agents in vehicles on some roads are detrimental to bears. The sector, however, must occasionally have some motorized presence in those areas, and a related and important issue is retaining access to critical areas. The sector must maintain the ability to respond via a motor vehicle when required." The importance of this? Well, the guy who was charged in the 1997 plot to bomb New York City's subway system crossed illegally across our northern border into Washington. 2005, a 360-foot drug smuggling tunnel on private land was also found going from Canada to Washington. This illustrates how much effort smugglers are willing to do to try to attempt to come into this country, not just in the north, but also in the south. We had a testimony today in Resources where some people in the Park Service said, well, if there are exigent circumstances, obviously we make appliances or allowances for the Border Patrol to go in there. The problem, though, is the definition of that term. Interior defines that term as a life and death situation. Homeland Security defines it as when there is evidence of a crossing. Those definitions are in conflict. Until the Department of Interior and National Park Service rules are changed in both the north and the south along our borders and allow access to federal Border Patrol and federal employees, there is no amount of numbers that's going to make a difference.
The
Instead, we
gentleman's
simply
time has
have the
expired.
worst of both worlds on both borders. Thank you, Madam Speaker.